And so that's where we get that high. And then when all this finally does wear off, we're so used to this portion in through here that when they say that the crash comes in and you just feel terrible afterwards, and then that's why, because the crash was, or the high was just so fast. It was so enormous. What is going on, everybody? Hey, it's Hopper. We've got another video coming back at you. It's been a little while since we posted, but we're back on track. We're good to go. Isn't that right? Yes, that is right. No, high five today? Okay. No high five. You're always such a loner. What is the topic for today? Today's topic is so much fun. We're going to take a little bit of break from some of the fitness topics. However, not too much of a break. We will discuss movie reviews and physiology. I don't think I spelled physiology correctly, but that's okay. It's Brutus's fault. And it's also Brutus's fault that we had to take a leave of absence for a little while. He's been on a hiatus and he decided to tell not a single person. But we do have the Ultimate Warrior with us. At some point in time, we may get a Ric Flair.
You keep your mouth shut, I'm gonna go in there and slap your face.
That's gonna be amazing. Regardless, the gang is all here. These movie reviews are gonna be so much fun. I can't wait to do it. We will discuss several different movies, and these movies all have some sort of topic that's related to physiology, nutrition, health, medication, anything along those lines. So we will get started, and the very first movie that we will watch is, of course, Rocky. The very first Rocky from the 70s. So let's get it started, shall we? That old ass radio. I don't know why radio shows are always so obnoxious. Can't stand it. There's one. There's 2 eggs. 3. 4 eggs. Raw. 5. So 5 raw eggs down the hatch. Ugh. Okay, so then he comes outside, he does a little bit of warm-up activities. Of course, he's getting ready to run. We're going to speed this up here a little bit. We're going to jump forward. So he's here, he's running. We're going to speed this up a little bit more. And then, of course, they show him struggling coming up the stairs here. Yep. And then as he's kind of bending over, he's clutching his side. There it is right there. Okay. Again, this is such an iconic scene. It delivers so much information. But there's a couple things about it that I dislike. And I'll say this right now, to a certain extent, you can't really serve 2 masters. And this idea of waking up early in the morning and you're heading out for a run, you're starting your training program, and you ate your breakfast, you know, the eggs and all the protein and all that nonsense. And the idea of serving 2 masters and that you can't really do it. What's going on here, this isn't really a notion of being out of shape. The notion of physical fitness and being in shape is relative to the individual. So if someone runs a mile in 7 minutes, that could be a personal best, and it could be just a warm-up for somebody. And here, you know, he's dying, he's grabbing his stomach and clenching his side, and what's actually arguably happening in real life is he's trying to throw up. And if we consume a fair amount of calories directly before we go and exercise, then your body's going to try to digest all those calories, and then our body will try to do 2 different things at the same time. One of which is to send the oxygen to respiring tissues, and the other is trying to digest and absorb the food that we just consumed. And we can't do both, and your body's either going to do one of 2 things. It's either going to regurgitate the food, and I have a video for that right up in through here. I'll put a card in that. Go watch that video and hit the like button on that. And or you're going to stop the exercise, which is exactly what he did here. And this video, as much as I love this iconic scene, this video implies that he is out of shape. And again, to a certain extent, we could kind of make the argument that's not necessarily true. Of course, there's always room for improvement, and he can improve his physical fitness. But what's really going on here is his tissues are trying to consume oxygen, and by that, because he placed a demand on that, and so the blood's trying to get out to the extremities and deliver that oxygen, and it's also trying to stay in the feed and breathe section and digest and absorb all that food. So this idea of him kind of coming up and running, he's out of shape and clenching his sides, no, it's just the fact that he consumed too much food too soon, and the actual food itself was full of triglyceride chains, heavy fats and whatnot. And I also made another video about consuming carbohydrates. I'll put a video for that right here. Go and watch that. Even though that video got a little bit of flack from some people and some bad opinions and reviews, but the idea is your carbohydrate bonds are 6, 12, and 6, like carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen respectively. Meanwhile, the triglyceride bonds are typically going to be 18, 32, and 2. And it's going to be so much easier to break down these glucose bonds when we need that oxygen to help regenerate ATP. Your body will consume these triglyceride bonds when we're at lower intensities. And if he's trying to work out extremely hard, we need these carbohydrates in our bloodstream that's already been absorbed. Well, that's already been digested and then absorbed into the small intestine. So he's struggling. He's a hot mess right here. It implies that he's out of shape, but that's not necessarily true. Another graph that I discussed in my carbohydrate video is the crossover concept, where we have your time and your intensity. And with the triglycerides, as the intensity climbs, as the intensity increases, the use of the triglycerides minimizes. However, the use of the carbohydrates, the intensity, it will increase. The use of carbs, and then these will be the triglycerides. And again, it's back to that idea that triglyceride bond is so massive with all those hydrogens on it, it's extremely difficult for those triglycerides to be consumed and turned into ATP, which is ultimately what we need in order to perform the demands that we place on it, in this case, running up the stairs. So that's the review for this first video. Rocky, I love you to death, and this movie's amazing. It's from 1976, but he just consumed way too much food and the wrong types of food way too soon before he went out for his exercise. So on to the next video. Okay, the next video here is Breaking Bad. And we're just going to show a portion of this clip down here. So they're in the truck, the two guys in the back. They get that hooked up to the exhaust, and then now the back of the truck starts to get filled with everything. Okay, so right here they start to struggle, they start to cough, and it's a bit of a gruesome scene, so I will stop it right here. And but what's actually happening is as they start to breathe in that exhaust, it's awful for many reasons, but one of which is the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve. And what happens is when we start to be exposed to carbon monoxide, the CO, it will bind to our red blood cells rapidly. And so when we have the percent saturation here, and then the partial oxygen of Hg mercury, we have the Hg, and then we have this saturation curve right here. The oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve will shift hard to the right. And it's actually quite simple. That carbon monoxide is so terrible for us because it has an affinity towards our red blood cell that's 200 to 250 times higher than oxygen. And when we look at the red blood cell right here, it's going to have O2, O2, O2. It has 4 spots for that oxygen to bind on. And if that affinity for that carbon monoxide is much higher, then of course it's going to replace that O2, and that carbon monoxide is going to get locked onto those red blood cells, and it's not going to be able to carry oxygen to our body, and then of course they suffocate. And so that's actually what's going on. So that's why carbon monoxide detectors are so important to have, and they are extremely useful. And so this scene is pretty crazy, but it's not just the fact that they're breathing in smoke, it's just that they're breathing in that carbon monoxide, and then it replaces the oxygen on that red blood cell. And yeah, crazy scene, but I love this series, and I want to discuss that. So get yourself a carbon monoxide detector. Those are extremely important. Off to the next movie. Okay, so for this next clip that we will cover, in the words of Gail Bediger from Breaking Bad, I'll say this.
I'm definitely a libertarian. Consenting adults want what they want. And if I'm not supplying it, they will get it somewhere else. At least with me, they're getting exactly what they pay for. No added toxins or adulterants.
And so with respect to this scene, we're going to watch The Hangover 2, and we're going to watch some of Chow's activities and antics, if you will. And I do not recommend these activities that it participates in any way, shape, or form. I highly advise against it. I want to make sure that I am abundantly clear on that idea. However, if consenting adults decide to do these activities, at least know the physiology behind it. And the physiology is actually discussed in the psychology book for what takes place in the scene, even though this is an extremely funny movie. But here we go.
We have 6 nights, bitches.
Whoa, wait a second, Chow.
We're in Bangkok. Holla, cities, voila.
Do you know how I got this tattoo?
Yeah.
I love Stu.
Come on, Stewie, use that big Chewy spray. What's the monkey holding you? That's a finger.
So, I got some bad news. Teddy was with us last night. That's his finger.
Teddy's dead. Teddy's not dead. He party with us all night.
Well, then where is he?
Don't you remember anything? No.
Nothing, Joe.
Okay, I explained it all, okay? Just let me do one more. Get my head straight. Okay.
Okay, that's enough. That's all I'm going to show, just for safety regulations and whatnot. But we will call this activity the use of powdered sugar. And this kind of is crazy, and it blows my mind, because when people actually consume these types of substances, this particular substance, this powdered sugar, it doesn't actually do anything to your body. And it makes us high off of our own neurotransmitters. And I'll show you right here. So if we have a receptor like this, a receptor, and then we have a neuron in through here like this, and these, we'll make this a different color right here, and these are all little specks of serotonin, and then dopamine, of course. And then we've got, what else we got down here? Then we got the norepinephrine. So the serotonin, the dopamine, the norepinephrine, just we'll call all these specks right here, the little red dots, we'll call those 3 items right there. And when they get released into this cavity in through here, and they're just kind of hanging out, this receptor can only handle so much of it. And there's actually little channels. We'll draw these little channels right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. These little channels disperse, and the specks of those neurotransmitters and whatnot, they leave this neuron in through here and go to the receptor. So they're just kind of hanging out in through here. Okay? And when your body releases the serotonin and the dopamine and the norepinephrine, there is usually only so much of the receptor neuron can handle a certain amount. And so what happens is there's usually what's called a reuptake, where if there's extra species of these neurotransmitters, they go back up into this neuron in through there. And what happens, it's called the reuptake phase. But what happens is when someone utilizes this powdered sugar, if you will, just like in this movie, this turns into, you have these squares right in through here. And it blocks the reuptake. And so these particles of the serotonin, the dopamine, and the norepinephrine cannot return back up into this vessel. So you get a massive amount of the serotonin and the dopamine that just hangs out in through here, and that's where your high comes into play. So what you could think about is these blockers. It's kind of like if you were to put, if you had a kitchen sink and you put one of those stoppers in the drain and the water just kind of stays there. And if the sink is going to be the receptor and the water is just hanging out and through there, and that's where it gives you this massive high. So that powdered sugar doesn't necessarily do anything to your body. It just blocks the reuptake phase of the serotonin and the dopamine and the norepinephrine, and it just stays there in the receptor area. And so that's where we get that high. And then when all this finally does wear off, we're so used to this portion in through here that when they say that the crash comes in and you just feel terrible afterwards, and then that's why, because the crash or the high was just so vast, it was so enormous. So as funny as this is and whatnot, but it can just be so addicting to be able to do something like this. But that's what's happening. You're just essentially blocking the reuptake of the serotonin and the dopamine and the norepinephrine, and that's how the use of powdered sugar works. So there's that. And now the next movie that we will review and discuss is Adventures in Babysitting. And I can't quite find it just yet. It'll take me a little while to find this particular scene, and I've wanted to discuss this for a while. But the scene where they talk about, I believe his name is Brad, one of the characters gets told by both, I think, his mother and, of course, Elizabeth Shue, who was a huge crush of mine, still is a huge crush of mine, Elizabeth Shue, and they tell him to not consume chocolate because it will give him acne.
Now, Brad is going to be staying at his friend Daryl's tonight, so you don't have to worry about him. This one is just getting over a very bad cough.
It's been almost 2 weeks.
So I want her to take some of this, give her a spoonful in about an hour, and then another spoonful before she goes to bed.
Will you stop eating chocolate? You're gonna have zits all over your face.
Mom. Jesus.
I am not. You guys want some candy?
Brad, no chocolate. Your acne.
And I've heard that over the course of the years that consuming chocolate, oh, it's going to make you break out, it's going to give you acne. And I have not found any evidence whatsoever anywhere that actually discusses that that's true. And I think that that's a myth, it's a fallacy.
Fallacies, fallacies, fallacies.
And if anyone has any information on that, put it in the comments below. But that is not true in any capacity from what I've read or haven't read. And the notion of kids eating chocolate and then them breaking out that acne, that breaking out that acne is just a side effect of the excess amount of testosterone in their body. And that is just, I don't know where that came from in terms of eating chocolate. And that's something that we should abolish. That idea, it needs to be abolished. Yeah, so here's this movie review. We discussed Rocky, we discussed some Breaking Bad, The Hangover 2, and Adventures in Babysitting. And we will discuss more of this as I get some more movies coming in through here that I can find certain scenes and certain spots that are good for physiology and fitness, health related and whatnot. So for those of you that have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. Those of you that want to see more videos like this, also discuss that in the comments as well. If anybody wants me to review any other movies, there's a couple other movies that I have in mind that I will also do. But yeah, for those of you that wish to support this channel, there are links in the description below to donate. Other than that, we will see you all next time.